main event.
Yes, welcome back to Sports and Sorts. This is episode 201, and we are live on a Friday morning around 10-ish. And we have some great stuff to talk about today. We will be recapping briefly the Thursday night game, Packers at Bears. We will gladly field any of your fantasy questions if you want to. Go ahead and throw them our way. During the show, if we get them, we'll throw them on the board, and then we will try and figure out a way to put them in the show. And we will also give you who we think our favorites are to win the Super Bowl for 2019/20. And in the second segment of the show, we'll be diving into this week's picks and who we will who we are picking to win our top 3 games of the week. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show something that just got thrown in. We're going to be talking about Antonio Brown. So there is obviously some serious controversy going on. I don't even know if it's controversy. It might be controversy with him and his camp. But other than that, I don't know how much controversy is. But first, we are going to get into a little Thursday night football. I want to talk about that first before we get into Antonio Brown and start getting all, angry and, whatever we have to do to like point our finger at him and tell him to stop being an idiot. We're going to talk about Packers versus Bears. And this game showed me a couple of things. One, it was boring as hell, but one, that Aaron Rodgers looked like this was his first game of the year. And the other side of it...
Because it was.
It was, exactly, and it looked like it. And the other side, you have Mitch Trubisky, who looks exactly like the same guy that he was last year.
Which is not good.
And it will frustrate his coach, Matt Nagy, a ton throughout the year. Because, Aaron Rodgers, who we both love, he didn't play a preseason game at all. And he had a tough game against a top-tier defense. And if this was him shaking off the cobwebs and still getting the W against a rival on the road who has a great defense, I will take that all day, every day. It was absolutely incredible that he was able to just basically, and you saw it. You saw him kind of shake off the rust, and then he got a lead. And then they kind of just, last year, Nagy came up with a bunch of smoke and mirror plays last year to help his offense put points on the board. And this year, I really see Nagy getting frustrated with Trubisky. Because I know it's super early in the year, but man, he could not complete one big throw all game.
The Bears' offense last night looked how I expect the Dolphins' offense to look.
That's
not good. But that's not good because when you consider the talent that the Bears have on offense and the fact that Mitch Trubisky is supposed to be now in year 2 to 3 taking that transitional step where he becomes a franchise quarterback, that does not bode well. What you saw last night does not bode well. He looked awful. And he also looked like a guy, and this is where the whole preseason thing becomes this double-edged sword, because he looked like a guy who hadn't played a game either, because he also hadn't. And here's my problem. This is again, the preseason is such, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Because if you don't play in the preseason, well, okay, then you're healthy. That's fine. However, in doing so, you're going to be rusty too. Because let's be honest, practice is only practice. It's not, you're not simulating an actual game. Mm-hmm. In a preseason, although you're playing against lesser opponents, you're playing I say you're playing against lesser opponents because most teams are not playing starters, but at least you're playing in an actual simulated game.
Right.
Practice, you can't do that. You can't do that. Defensive players are hesitant to hit the quarterback. They're not allowed to even touch the quarterback.
Right.
So it's just not the same thing. So this is what's going to happen early in the season when you've got all these guys, these quarterbacks especially, who haven't played a snap, and they're shaking off the rust. Mitch Trubisky, look, I do not think by any stretch that what we saw last night is an indication of how Mitch Trubisky's season is going to go, or the kind of quarterback he's.
I guess the thing that we don't know, because I mean the Packers defense looked good last night, but is that just because of how poor Mitch Trubisky is? I think that's something that we're going to find. I think we're going to find that out. I mean, Martinez is a legit linebacker. He is a good linebacker for the Packers, and he's going to make noise. But we don't know the rest of their team on defense. We're not really 100% sure about. I mean, we're not diehard Packers fans, so we don't watch every game. Like our friend Brandon Blaine, who's a diehard Packers fan, might have a little bit of a different take on this because he is a diehard Packers fan. But when I look at the game, I look at them on defense as, if you look at it yesterday and you just take, the numbers that Trubisky put out there last year and all the smoke and mirrors that Nagy was able to come up with to help him put points on the board. If you look at that, then you'd be like, uh-oh. This Packers team might be more than we thought. And might be why Aaron Rodgers said, I'm taking the whole preseason off because I trust our defense a little bit more than I did last year, or I like the schemes that we're coming up with more on defense last year. And we're going to have the ability for me not to have to just sit there and make plays in the fourth quarter all the time to win the game. They got there, they got a small lead, and they just held on to it the whole game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a really tough call because if Aaron Rodgers, who we expect to get better throughout the season, gets better and his defense stays like that and they are this good, watch out.
The other issue I had, and again, I want to give the Packers defense credit because you should. They played well last night, but the Bears offense just looked very pedestrian last night. Like they just looked like they went out and called a very conservative game plan. And that, to me, isn't really a Nagy thing. He's a little bit more creative than that.
He is much more creative. I don't know if maybe he was they kept on commenting about how Mitch Trubisky's, footwork was so much better than it was last year, and he didn't have as much happy feet. He still was the same quarterback, though. Had a hard time throwing to the left, and he completed about 57% of his passes. And
you may have seen after the game the quote from Tramon Williams, who's the Packers cornerback, which I don't like quotes like this because I hate when quotes like this are said after game. Like I'd have respected him more if he had said this before the game, because anybody could say, anybody could play this. But he said, we wanted to make Mitch play quarterback. We knew they had a lot of weapons. We knew they were dangerous. We knew all of those things. But we knew if we could make Mitch play quarterback that we'd have a chance. See, I don't like quotes like that. Not after the game. Say that shit before the game. Sorry, earmuffs. Say it before the game, though, Tramon. I mean, come on.
It's easier to say it after the game.
It's a lot easier to say that. It doesn't take a man to say that. Post-game.
I mean, do you really want to give them, bulletin board material right before the game, though?
Yeah, that's all garbage too, though. The whole bulletin board crap. I don't know. A lot of times I don't buy into that stuff. I mean, if you really felt
Michael
that
Jordan
way,
might tell you differently.
Well, Michael Jordan. Okay, well, we're not talking about Michael Jordan here, though. I mean, we're talking about Tramon Williams and Mitch Trubisky here. So I just don't know how much more skill level you're going to get out of, look, the bottom line is that was a really horrible start to the NFL's 100th season. What was even worse was those dummies at NBC dressing up Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels and Michelle Tafoya like they were in the 20s. I mean, come on. Really? What are you doing?
I think the other thing that if you're into fantasy, I think you got to be excited if you're a Jimmy Graham fan because it seemed like he was targeting him quite a bit, and he's going to be getting some end zone opportunities this year.
I was not excited in fantasy last night because I probably already lost 2 games just based on last night because I actually did have Trubisky playing in one league and I had David Montgomery playing in another. And they did not. And what scares me the most is I drafted Montgomery as like one of my higher running backs because my running backs are not good in one particular league. I sacrificed because I was able to get DeAndre Hopkins and Juju Smith-Schuster. But in making that choice, I didn't pick up I let a running back go. Like I could have gotten Kerryon Johnson. But I was like, Juju Smith-Schuster shouldn't have fallen to me at this spot, so I have to take him. Because I have to have Hopkins and Smith-Schuster. That's a ridiculous tandem.
That's a nice tandem.
But again, in doing so, I made some running back sacrifices, so my running backs are not good. And he was one of the guys that I'm kind of depending on to be able to pick up the slack. He did not do it last night. And what worries me is that the Bears are doing this running back by committee thing between Tariq Cohen and himself, and then I think that other guy Davis. So, not good. Not good. I'm not encouraged by that at all.
You're not loving your situation right now?
No, and I don't like the fact that, and another one of the guys I picked up was Devin Singletary, your Bills guy, and they've already said they're going to do a running back by committee.
Yeah,
so.
I think that'll change, though. As soon as they figure out
too,
what he's got.
But I agree, but I hope like with Montgomery, it doesn't change until it's too late for me, you know?
Yeah.
So.
That's a tough one. All right. So that's pretty much our recap. I mean, aren't you, we're kind of like, this almost kind of shook out how we thought it was. Actually, I thought the Packers were going to put up more points than they did.
Oh, I thought this was actually going to be more of a shootout. I was kind of very disappointed with this.
I think most people were disappointed, but I think we both thought that the Packers probably would have won the first game, even though it was on the road. But because our love for Aaron Rodgers. But
I actually would have picked the Bears.
You would have? Yeah. See, I just love Aaron Rodgers, and I expect him coming in healthy to perform, especially on a big stage. He usually performs on big stages, so that's probably where I would have went, but obviously 2020 hindsight. All right, so let's get into...
You had that Trayvon Williams hindsight?
Yeah, I'm going to start using that for all my picks. All right, I'll definitely win this year. So let's get into Antonio Brown. Lots of issues here. I mean, talking about his helmet, how he wasn't able to play basically any of the preseason because he had to look for a helmet and all that kind of stuff, and he couldn't find a helmet that and then he comes in and says how the helmet thing was just kind of a joke, and he kind of played everybody, and then on top of that, he gets in a big blowout argument with upper management, and now he's suspended. Do you know if it's just one game?
I think it's so far one game.
Yeah, because I have him in one of my leagues. Thankfully, I had Josh Gordon. I have Josh Gordon as a backup to fill in for that rotation,
which is fine.
But, yeah.
Here's the thing with he's not gonna. It won't be any more than a game.
Right.
And I think because Gruden likes this guy so much, Gruden's gonna do everything he can to ensure that Antonio Brown is on the field.
This is better. This is his better elite level Keyshawn.
Besides, I think yes, it is right. And actually, and I think that's the thing. Like that's why Gruden is probably very well equipped to handle this because he had a guy in Keyshawn Johnson who I don't know.
He was a good player.
Diva receivers, they all they get sort of lumped together, but you shouldn't really. I think you need to look at each one individually. Here's the other thing, though. Because it is really easy to trash Antonio Brown right now. It really is, and I've done it. I've done it myself. Mm-hmm. I mean, he a lot of what he does. I mean, he brings this on himself. Let's be honest, right?
If you guys in the comments, go ahead and post what you think about this as well, and I'll post it on the screen. Let us know what you feel about this Antonio Brown situation.
But I want to say one thing. Look very carefully at the way that this guy has been acting over the course of the past few years. This is more than just childish lashing out. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who makes me wonder if there is actually physically something wrong with him from the neck up.
Mental stability.
Well, maybe he's been hit one too many times. I mean it. Is there something? Maybe you need to look at this guy's brain. Literally need to put him in a tube and take a look at his head, because this is not normal. Look, okay, we've seen diva receiver stuff. Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, we've seen Keyshawn Johnson. We've seen the diva receiver type of personality. The stuff that's going on with Antonio Brown is at a completely different level. Yeah. This goes above and beyond anything we've ever seen. And of course, it becomes more pronounced because, let's be honest, Antonio Brown is the best receiver in football and has been for the past at least 6 or 7 years. His numbers have been remarkably consistent and incredibly Pro Bowl worthy. Yeah. I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer. This is a guy's an all-time great. Mm-hmm. He and Ben Roethlisberger together that was one scary tandem. Okay, so I wonder if there's something else at play here, because this just seems like it's a little bit more than just a guy trying to draw attention to himself or to promote his brand because he's Antonio Brown, he's AB. So, one way or another, he's trying to, draw attention to himself because any publicity is good publicity. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think there's something else. And I really I really do. I think there might very well could be a medical issue here. And I think the Raiders should look at that. I really do. But listen, I also want to say one other thing. I do applaud Mayock, though, for not putting up with it.
Yeah.
I applaud Mayock for putting his foot down and confronting him. And because, look, the bottom line is if you do let Antonio, regardless of what's going on with him, if you do let him get away with this kind of stuff, he will continue to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll embellish and make it a little bit worse every time. The more you allow him to get away with it, the worse it will get. So I do applaud Mike Mayock for handling it. I think he handled it properly.
Yeah.
To be honest. He's taking a lot of crap because a lot of people are saying, well, Mike Mayock, this guy's a first-time GM. He needs to go back to the NFL Network and just do the draft. And he doesn't belong in this office because now he's already sitting Antonio Brown. How much you want to bet that 9 out of the 10 people who are saying that crap are saying it because they have Antonio Brown on their fantasy football team?
There's a good chance. I mean, I don't know. What I'm going to say about this is there's one thing that really shows its face to me, and is that the Steelers really made the right move.
Oh, God. There was
they have to be laughing their butts off right now because of what's going on in that clubhouse, because they got to be like, and Ben Roethlisberger, who has actually since then said I probably handled the Antonio Brown thing wrong. It cost me a friendship and all. And Antonio Brown came out and said, we're never friends. This is such a incredible thing that shows its face. And you're just like, what? We made the right decision. See you later, guys. Have fun.
Yesterday I retweeted something because I thought it was just so perfect. Somebody had posted a little GIF. It was like a little video of so there's this kid on a swing set, right, in the playground. Yeah. And then in the background, there's literally a fire going on in the background. and the person puts in the caption Ben Roethlisberger watching, the Antonio Brown crap play out from there's everybody's paying attention to the fire and this kid's just on the swing enjoying himself. It was great. It was great. And that's how Ben, and that's how Ben was. And you saw all that stuff happen yesterday. All those memes and the GIFs flying around about Mike Tomlin. There's the one of Mike Tomlin laughing on the sideline, smiling on the sideline, walking along, and the Steelers. Listen, the Steelers shed themselves of a headache. There's no doubt about it. But again, this goes back to the question of two things. One, maybe take a look at Antonio Brown, see if everything is okay from the neck up. And two, I think Mayock did the right thing. I really do.
Yeah. This is a very interesting time in the NFL. And as boring as I heard what's that show that you watch that's on HBO or whatever, Hard Knocks?
Hard Knocks.
Yeah. As boring as I've heard that is.
It wasn't good this year. It was not good.
I will say that it's too bad that are they still following this team right now, or is that just preseason stuff?
Well, it's done. Yeah. It stops before the.
So that's too bad. That's too bad because this could have been really interesting to see. Can you imagine the blowout, the conversation if that was actually on film? Holy cow, that would have been incredible. All right, so I was actually trying to find some tweets on Twitter from Antonio Brown or anything like that, because I heard that he actually posted the letter that he got.
He did. He put the letter. He put the fine letter on Instagram, and that's what set Mayock off.
Instagram, that's what it was.
And what's upsetting about that is that Antonio Brown tried to make it look like the Raiders, made this public and were trying to humiliate him. No, dude, you put the letter on Instagram, so you dragged it out.
Yeah.
Sending a letter and putting the fine in the letter is the proper protocol. That's the right way to do it. You putting that on Instagram, that would be like if my employer sent me a letter reprimanding me for something, and then I put that a shotgun to that all over the internet or on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
Don't ever put any of those letters that I send you.
I would get fired. And look, what Mike Mayock is doing is handling it properly. Now, you can't go fire Antonio Brown. The rules are obviously different in the NFL than they would be in some other, a normal work establishment. Yeah. But bottom line, there is still going to be a consequence and a repercussion to that action. And the consequence is you're going to get suspended for a game. And it could get to the point where we actually do escalate this and get you out of the team and recoup our guaranteed money. Because the way the Raiders set up that contract was that he would not get all that guaranteed money up front. It would be in like disbursements, which was very smart on their part.
Yeah.
Probably because they figured something like this could happen, that this was this is a stick of dynamite they're dealing with here. This guy's very volatile. And there was an opportunity for him to do something like this or multiple. Look, the helmet thing was not a big deal, right? Like you can kind of actually, if anything, the helmet thing was kind of funny. Like it got a little bit more dragged out than it should have been, but ultimately it was really more of a joke than anything else. But it also
it had to annoy some people though. After him saying like, "Oh, it was kind of a joke," like I was just kind of joking around, because that's what he said. He came out and he said basically like, "I was just fooling. Like I just didn't want to play in the preseason." You know, like
right.
That's stupid.
Right.
He's just a moron.
He had the whole thing with his feet early in the season too, which was put those disgusting pictures of his like mutilated feet on the internet, which was just completely unnecessary, especially like if you happen to be having lunch at the time when you first saw him. That was just grotesque. There was no need for that. So between the feet, the helmet, and then the fine letter and everything that has happened since, I mean, the guy hasn't even played a game yet.
Yeah.
He hasn't even played a game for this team.
Yeah, it's rough. Clint says trade him to Buffalo. I don't know if he's hoping that the cold will make him not talk as much.
Here's the question. Of course, one of the other big jokes is how long before he's on the Patriots, right? Because let's be honest, that seems like a really Patriot thing to do. Like he'd go there and he'd be another Randy Moss for them. Yeah. Like remember, Belichick took on Randy Moss when nobody wanted to touch him, and what happened? Randy Moss almost led them to a perfect season in a Super Bowl. Yeah. So thank God for the Giants. But Randy Moss actually had a really good few productive years there with Tom Brady.
This isn't a homer pick or anything, but Eli Manning, big stock up.
Oh, man, I never thought I was going to be able to use that again.
But honestly, though, I mean, but here's the thing. If he gets cut, somebody's taking a chance on him. There's zero doubt about that.
All right, so we're gonna get into our Super Bowl picks real quick. But first, Clint asked any predictions for the Bills-Jets Sunday. You got anything? Do you want to say anything? Bills-Jets this coming Sunday?
But where's this game? Is it New York?
Well, it's going to be in New York somewhere.
Sorry, is it MetLife Stadium?
I think so. I don't believe the Bills are.
Certainly. The one thing we can guarantee is that actually we can't say that because it's either in New Jersey or it's in New York.
Yeah, that's true.
So
if I said New York, you'd been like, oh, so they're playing that Jets. Like
I would have actually just assumed MetLife. Yeah, I know it's so weird because you don't think of Buffalo's New York, even though it clearly is.
They're playing in Jersey. Yes.
I think regardless, I probably would have gone with the Jets. I will go with the Jets, not by much. I think it'll be a really close game. I think it'll be a tight game, low scoring. I think both of these defenses are really good. Mm-hmm. And if last night's game was any indication of anything, I think scoring is going to be at a premium in the opening weeks, especially with so many guys not playing in the preseason and really having to shake off the rust.
Yeah.
So I'll say Jets. How about 16-13?
All right. I unfortunately will probably be taking the Jets too. I just think they have a better team right now. Not to say that over the next couple, when the Patriots finally go away, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but when they finally go away and Tom Brady retires, I do think that right now, the way that everything's shaking out, it does seem like the Bills and Jets are going to be the team that are going to go back and forth, because the Jets do have their team going forward. They just have a couple of key spots. They need some better receivers. They look at number one wide receiver, but that's something the Bills need too. I do think the Bills defense is better than the Jets, but I think the Jets offense is better than the Bills defense. So at home, I do think that the Bills are going to lose this, unfortunately. I do think Josh Allen's probably going to end up throwing maybe 2 or 3 picks. But I do think he'll have a touchdown, maybe 2. And I expect this game to be like 21-18 Jets. I don't expect a ton of scoring to happen because I do think the defense side is going to be a little bit sharper than the offensive side. But I do think that the Bills are going to probably
just get Singletary some reps, please. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Josh Allen needs to start connecting with some receivers in order to free up the zone, free it up for him. So we'll see. Yep. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a good game, and it'll come down to the wire, but I do think that the Bills are going to come up short a little bit here.
Any players to watch? Yes, Devin Singletary.
Yeah, Devin Singletary, definitely. I do think that maybe Crowder, he might be a good little fit there. He might put up some big numbers. Robbie Anderson's healthy too, so
I could see.
Depending on, I mean, these are low level. Like you're talking like wide receiver 3 or flex or something like that. Depending on what your situation is.
Singletary, you hope is an RB2 by the time the year ends.
Yeah, I mean,
Crowder, I think his ceiling is WR2/3.
Yeah, and he could be that guy that's like. He's not a wide receiver 1. He's not a number 1 guy.
No. But he could be a guy solid, who catches 90 balls.
Yeah, absolutely. And him and Robbie Anderson could catch around 80 balls apiece.
They could, yeah.
And that's just, it all depends on their health, obviously, and everything like that. But I think that those are the 2 guys that I would watch. Darnold could actually have a good game, but I'm expecting him to throw a couple picks too.
Sam Darnold, when you think about the way the Jets offense is constructed, he actually may end up being a pretty good fantasy quarterback because, first of all, Le'Veon Bell is your dual threat running back, so he might catch 80 balls himself.
Yeah.
I mean, between those 3 guys we just mentioned, they could catch like 250 balls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the question.
Right. And Lev Bell does make noise when he catches the ball in the backfield.
He does a lot of damage. Yeah.
I just think that there's a little bit too much star power on that. Not star power, but too much power on the offensive side for the Bills to kind of really keep up. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping that the Bills finish 8-8 this year, 7-9 or something like that.
Who's the Jets tight end? Do you know off the top of your head? I don't.
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't remember that. But the Bills have such a good defense that it's really going to be. I mean, even Crowder, I think he might catch 5 balls. You know, he's not going to catch he's not going to catch 12. He might catch 5. Robbie Anderson might catch 5. And they'll both be in that like probably 60 to 80 range of yards. Maybe one of them catches a touchdown kind of deal. It's not going to be anything crazy, but Lev Bell, obviously, he's obviously the big fantasy getter there.
Listen, that guy's going to get 25 touches a year.
But I think that
every game,
if you're not slotting him in as your number 1 running back or number 2, if you have somebody crazy like, Gurley or Ezekiel or somebody along those lines, if you have one of those top backs, Saquon, he's obviously going to be your number 2, but he's fighting for a number 1 spot as a running back. So we don't know what he's got after a year off, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's get into Super Bowl picks real quick. Super Bowl picks. Sure. I don't want to talk about this a ton. But I do want to kind of give you where I'm thinking. My favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. I'm predicting and hoping that this Super Bowl is consisting of 2 of my favorite teams to watch, and that is the Chiefs versus the Rams. With the Rams getting the short end of the stick again and going 0 for 2 and hopefully getting even closer to going 0 for 4 in Super Bowls and taking that monkey off my back as the only team to, go to 4 straight Super Bowls and not win. But I really like the offense of the Chiefs, and I'm concerned about the defense. But I feel like Mahomes put up those numbers in his first full year at quarterback last year, and I just don't expect him to slow down. If anything, I expect him to get smarter and find more ways to win those close games by using the clock better and all that stuff. And really, I'm just kidding because I really think that the Rams are going to win it all and take it all this year because they have a better defense. Defense wins championships. So the Rams will actually win and go 1-1. I don't think that they're going to go 0 for 2. I think it's very rare that a team would go there and lose back-to-back to back-to-back. Obviously, it's only been done once by our Bills, Clint. So we have that sitting on our mantle. But we don't have any championships.
At least you've seen your team be in a Super Bowl in your lifetime where you can actually remember it. I mean, I was 7 years old in 1984 when I saw Dan Marino get crushed by Montana in the Niners. So. My Super Bowl pick is I got Chiefs, Eagles.
Ooh, Pennsylvania.
And I love this. I love the matchup for storylines. I like to try and, actually, it was funny. Last year when we did our predictions, I actually did predict Patriots-Rams, and I got the call wrong. I don't know. I think because I was picking with my heart, not with my head. But no, I've got Chiefs Eagles, which I hate doing because I've seen that so many times. But at the same time, I don't know. I look at the NFL, I look at the landscape of the NFL, and I think these are going to be the 2 teams left standing at the end. And I love the storyline of Andy Reid going against his old team and then beating them to win his first Super Bowl championship. And Andy Reid has just been too good of a coach for too long not to be a champion. Yeah. That guy, man, I really think he deserves one. And I think last year was heartbreaking for him because I think he thinks, maybe even knows they should have beaten that Patriot team. And if his defense had just been a little bit better.
That's usually what the head coach of the other team says against the Patriots.
I know.
Unless your name's Tom Coughlin.
I know. I mean, they listen, to give the Devils their due, the Patriots in the biggest of games.
Yeah, what's your cat doing, bro?
That's not a cat. I don't know what that was upstairs. I think we may have a horse in the house. I mean, we are in the country, so you never know. So that's my pick. I've got the Chiefs beating the Eagles. I like the storyline there. I actually like the storyline of the Kelsey brothers going up against each other too in the Super Bowl, which is kind of cool. Uh-huh. So there's some storylines there, but I like Andy Reid getting his first and maybe his only Super Bowl against his former team.
Yeah, against his former team. That is a good storyline. And plus, yeah, I mean, who doesn't like Andy? I mean, most people should like Andy Reid. Good coach. And I do like Wentz. And now if the Eagles happen to land Melvin Gordon, that could be a game changer, though. That could be a game changer. We'll see where Gordon lands. That could be a game changer. That could be a big game changer.
That is going to be a very interesting subplot.
Or what if the Chiefs end up trying to get Gordon or something like that to replace Hunt from last year? Like,
Chiefs have the Chiefs have what they've got. Well, first of all, they've got Damian Williams, who certainly represented himself very well. I don't know if you look at him as a franchise back, but listen, the guy played well. You've got LaShawn McCoy, who they just brought in. So I mean, and then they have another.
I think LaShawn McCoy is going to end up taking over the.
What's his name? Is it Darwin Thompson? I think is the other guy too. That's in that rotation.
I don't remember the third guy now, but I do think that Shady's going to end up taking
Damian Thompson. I can't remember.
Good amount of the snaps because he's still got that burst and he's still got good hands and he is a good rudder. So I think that he'll probably end up getting there. Think Gordon is going to be able to find a home this year? Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I mean,
they'll trade him because they got to get something in return for him.
As soon as any of these teams with these that have aspirations to go deep in the playoffs lose their running back, and it happens every year. Yep. They're going to be Melvin Gordon's number is going to be cut and called a ton. So I think you're going to see that, and you're going to see it soon.
He'll end up on a team. Because you could get something in return for him.
All right, so we will be right back. We're going to come back with our this coming week's picks. We have just to give you a preview. We're going to be talking Falcons versus Vikings, Steelers versus Pats, and Texans versus Saints. I think that's pretty much it for the rest of our show. Again, if you have any fantasy questions or anything like that, you can post them on the show, and we'll tackle those as they come, and hopefully help you out. And then on top of that, we will see you guys back here in just about 60 seconds. Peace out. See you soon.